Hello, founders. Welcome to the week 4 developer update for Pocket Founder. I'm fully over the illness that had racked me last week. I am up and ready to go. Unfortunately, because of some of the health issues, this week's dev update's a little bit thinner. Maybe you're cheering for that, but it's less to talk about for the features for this week. But we'll fill in the rest of the time with a little bit about what's coming up in the future. So just looking at what was in version 1.0.34, which was approved last night. So some things is a recharge day screen was added to the work scheduler. So this is part of the repeat process. So just starting with a work scheduler creator, as I put here, but I'll probably just call it the work scheduler internally. But basically the process is you create your work schedule. From there, you layer over your goals, milestones, and tasks into it, right? So that, since the app knows how you're planning, it can then have you plan your goals, milestones, and tasks around what your proposed work schedule is, so that you can time bound the goals as being multiple work periods, right? And again, work periods, it could be a week, 2 weeks, month, 2 months. The recommended is 2 weeks. That's kind of like the same thing as like a sprint in Agile, usually. So just thinking about like, hey, this goal is going to take a month, so it's going to be 2 work periods, right? And, when you do that planning, right, that means that you're going to do one at the beginning of a 2-week cycle, then another one after that one's done, and then the goal should be, either reevaluated or finished. So that's what the planner is going to be doing automatically going into the future. There's some things that I need to fix with the dates tracking, so that when you log into the app on the day that a work period ends, right, then it triggers the planning for the next work period, right? And when a quote-unquote due date for a goal occurs, then it also triggers a kind of evaluation period for the corresponding goals, milestones, and tasks, which have certain expiration dates, right? And the tasks, kind of push it off into the future. We'll be looking at the work tab into the future, what that kind of looks like going forward, but the tasks should really be resolved in the work portion of the app. And this might be like tipping my cards a little bit for the future if the work portion of the app survives into the future. And there's a little bit of some kind of businessy side of the house thoughts that I've been having going forward, which I'll go into in a second after I'm done with some of these features. So there's some icons that I just tweaked a little bit, placement of icons so that, we had a little bit of real estate in the top right that used to be for kind of the education features. Education features are currently, being put aside as we're working with some of these productivity tools. So, kind of once we get the productivity tools into a good place, that might come back in some form or another, but not in the spot where I put some of the icons for kind of primary tasks or primary actions on some of the tabs. So, the repeat planning process or the initial planning process, that's going to be a prominent, action button, primary action button at the top right of a screen. And so that's replacing the used to be the education tab going into workshops and that type of stuff. That's going to be more for like individual screens. We'll have that into the future. And there were some crashes with some of the navigations, the back buttons, because the screen to confirm your work schedule goes back to some of the previous screens to edit. When you're bouncing back and forth, there were some crashes because some of it wasn't wired correctly. So it's my bad. Fix that. But we're coming in. It's next week. So next week's going to be a first launch coming Labor Day. So I hope everyone's going to be super excited. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more founders being added onto the platform. But I'll probably create a video at the later end of the week, but I've had kind of a change in philosophy. There was this video that I was watching over the weekend that really made me rethink some of the strategies that I've been doing for Pocket Founder, and I think that if I'm trying to embody what the best kind of what the best practices are, then I should really be kind of um, you know really live them myself, right? As opposed to just kind of letting them go off into the go off and do this, that, and the other thing, and not really do what the app is trying to get other founders to kind of adopt these best practices, right? So that's it for the features for version 1.0.35. 1.0.35 will be the launch version for the upcoming launch. So that's going to be really exciting. Ending it off on a round even number, so that my founder OCD doesn't go too crazy about that. But yeah, super excited and really looking forward to that. So going forward, and I think it's good that we kind of had a month of doing these developer updates for the past period of time, past 1 month, right? We're moving on into a different month, and kind of coinciding with these work schedules and being more diligent about work periods and thinking more about like how to really chunk the work, right? So that taking small bites out of a large ambitious project that I have, right? And so kind of looking forward, really taking cues from video games, which I really love, seeing how different game companies structure how they do their kind of product release schedule, especially for games that are in early access, which they're kind of building the game as they're showcasing it, right? And there's always a lot of dev updates and dev experiences that are being showcased, right? That I think I take a lot of inspiration from. And so going forward, I'm going to be, as I'm going to show here, revealing in different quote unquote operations, right? Different kind of themes, overall themes for the developer updates for that period. So starting off, we have Operation Montgomery. So it's named after Bernard Montgomery, the field marshal during World War II for the British forces. And he was known as one of the great planners of World War II. Not necessarily that all the plans worked out, but the fact that he was just very meticulous and diligent in his planning, especially in the Africa campaign, led to kind of a grand battle plan type of broad front strategy against Rommel that ultimately led to the victory, along with various other historical issues that the German and Italian forces had. But Montgomery really led force. Big, large planning committees. He was famous for that. And so as I'm building in the app the planning process, obviously he is a great inspiration. And over time, I'll choose different figures of history, generals, whomever, that really fit the theme of what I'm doing. But right now, this is going to be Operation Montgomery from the period starting now, August 28th, 2 months into the future. So I do 2-month work periods just because it's me alone. If I had other teammates, probably need bigger turnarounds to do replannings, so to kind of reorient myself and the team. And so I'd probably shrink that down. For me, if it's just me, then I can go back and do some broad strategic planning every 2 months. But as you've noticed, right, there's a lot of differences to the developer updates from before to after, because I spent this last week kind of doing reevaluations of both what's going on in the app and all the different things, including the developer updates. So this is going to be great, a little guided way to kind of go through the developer updates. You're going to have kind of a broader overarching theme that kind of influences every all the work that I do, but also the developer updates themselves. So for the next 2 months, goals. So, dogfooding the product, right? I truly believe in this, and this is how I work and think. In the early stage, goals, milestones, and tasks, when you start having siloed teams, you start having VPs of engineering, marketing, sales, and, not everyone is your direct report. You have direct reports with delegated subordinates. That's when you start looking at metrics, numbers, KPIs, those types of things. So, in the period between things start getting siloed, everyone's just a group of people. You as a CEO and as different founders have individual direct reports. That are in a smaller team that hasn't been siloed yet. Goals, milestones, and tasks are the way to go. So, goals for me, get me to do this planning process, not in Excalibur that I'm showing here, but actually in the app. So hopefully in the future I can showcase this in the app. So we'll see how I can play around with the UI to kind of show it off. And I think that's something that's going to be really beneficial for founders and what people have told me, right? They don't want to see a mess of stuff, right? They want to be able to see the highlights and the summary, basically. So it's going to be an interesting way to kind of tweak the UI or help someone kind of customize the UI to create a summary for not just themselves, but for their work team. So that it's not overwhelming and it's not, just a blob of information that nobody's going to be, a wall of text that, people aren't going to really read. So to do this in the app, not in Excalibur, complete the repeat planning process. So, we have the work scheduler, right, integrating the goals, milestones, and tasks into that, right? And we're really moving towards, with the app, multiplayer coming forward. So having team members be a part of the planning process. And I call it multiplayer. It's just, what I kind of consider features that are seen in Notion or Google Docs where you can see someone editing and you can edit with them live in the document. Being able to work with other people collaboratively as you plan, as you do different, planning exercises. That's probably the best way. And being able to, have it be the guiding feature of a meeting, let's say stand up, stand down, beginning of the day, end of the day, end of 2-week period. You can have your, sprint review, and kind of all the different rituals that a company might be doing, that's really just what I'm trying to layer into the app. And starting to build distribution channels for Pocket Finder. So this is not a developer specific, goal, right? This is a goal for the business of Pocket Founder itself, right? So distribution channels, incredibly important for any startup to kind of think about, when we talk about go-to-market, right? You can have spearfishing where you're just going after individual people, works in B2B, works in some sense with this app, but this app is kind of, it's B2B considering that startups are the customer base, but for the user specifically, they're probably individual consumers. So looking at a B2C distribution strategy is probably best. And so for this app in particular, where it's kind of straddling that line, the distribution channels are probably best going to be found with early channel partners. So people whom I can partner with in the early stage where it's beneficial for them to be introducing people my way, and also vice versa. So, this might be, this is an app that helps founders learn how to build their business. Well, there might be some services in adjacent companies, ones that are not, just pure salesy like ad agencies or that nonsense. But if there's, advocacy groups, accelerators, investment groups, so on and so forth, people who are providing, non-work related value to startups, those are the people who can form early channel partners. But obviously over the next 2 months, I'm going to be building out more clarity on what an early channel partner for Pocket Founder will look like. Just like you're creating a sales prospect list, this is a early partner prospect list. So hopefully be able to start building some good distribution channels that way. For the milestones, so connected to the goal of getting me to use this app and not an Excalibur, I think adding streaks into the app and being able to track like, day 1, day 2, day 3, so on and so forth, and having people come back and it turns habitual. I think that's really important, especially for someone like me. Once I get into the habit of doing something like these dev updates, it's a lot harder for me to stop, and I don't break schedule off of that stuff very often. Related to the repeat planning process. So you can go into the app every day and review, say, my progress, but collectively, our progress, your progress. Update the work schedule as needed. So right now, the only way that you could do that is in the repeat process, but we'll probably create another tab, create an additional screen on the planning so to allow for you to edit the work schedule. There's always times where, something comes up, you're no longer working on that day, you need to, like, swap days around, so on and so forth. Totally understandable, right? For the distribution channel, so these dev updates are also, is also a distribution channel, to get the word out there about Pocket Founder, right, and being able to build an early channel partnerships list. I talked about that earlier. And for the tasks, I actually need to plan out my tasks myself. So, obviously, try to do that in the app. I do recognize that just creating tasks off the top of your head is a difficult thing. So we'll have to look forward, going forward in the next 2 months, how to help kind of make that process a little bit more streamlined. So that's the basics of the developer updates this week. I'll probably do a couple of extra things in the full video, but just for the developer update this week for Pocket Founder, that's basically it. On the screen, you'll see the QR code where you can go to the Pocket Founder website and sign up to be a tester. Hopefully, once the launch goes through, there'll just be a general website, and you'll be able to, join that way. But for right now, I'll be asking you to sign up on the website, and I'll send you an invite to the test version of the app that's currently available. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And, just as a reminder, right, if I can be building a startup, so can you. Thank you very much.